Hey guys, how you going? I found another really interesting article over on Europe Reloaded. Um, this one interests me because I've been sick for 15 years, and I've come across this as well, and it's why I'm drinking beef bone broth. I'm trying to fix my stomach because there's something wrong with my stomach, guys, and it just swells up like I'm pregnant and I'm not, and it's a very disabling thing to have. But anyway, guys, I'm looking into what, when you think back on when we were hunters and gatherers, what we would have eaten. And back then, you wouldn't have had all these vegetables shipped all over the place. You would have mainly hunted. And then you would have foraged for vegetables and roots when the seasons came around. But other than that, you wouldn't have eaten them. And now they're spraying all our fruits and vegetables with poisons and pesticides and herbicides and God knows what else, guys. So I'm going to read you this article as I found it just really, really interesting. Okay, another narrative collapses. Eating meat is not ritualistic suicide as they would have us believe. Another lie bites the dust. Tom Luongo. I've been on some form of low-carb diet since the 1990s. If not for a few years of intense martial arts training and that dietary switch, I would have been likely ended up with type 2 diabetes and well on my way to the grave. I know some of you are thinking, more's the pity. Fair enough. But the truth is that once my wife and I started down that path and our health rapidly improved, there was no going back. I clearly remember an early article in, of all places, the Gainesville Sun talking about how butter may not be bad for you. This planted a seed and things went from there. We started with Dr. Atkins. Then we moved on to books like Neanderthal and Devoured, all puns intended. We started with Dr. Atkins. Then we moved on to books like Neanderthal and Devoured, all puns intended, the work of the doctors Mary and Michael Eads of Protein Power fame. I went from 250 pounds with high blood pressure, triglycerides, and the kind of temper that cost me jobs, no lie, to dropping below 200 pounds for the first time since high school, and more patience for the world. My belly shrank. I could fit into 36-inch waist jeans. My friends noticed it. My wife noticed it. My co-workers and my boss thanked me. Being on that diet allowed me to handle the heat and stress at 35 of building my house in the North Florida summer, working sun up to sundown 3 days a week for 7 months straight. I held my full-time job as a senior chemist at the same time, working 4 10-hour days. So yes, I had the endurance, focus, strength and fitness to work as a professional researcher and laboratory manager 4 days a week, and an amateur framer, roofer, plumber, general contractor and ditch digger the other 3. From March to October in Florida, no days off, no bullshit. The self-education continues today to refine what works and what doesn't work for us. What foods we're allergic to and how can we support our organs and gut health as we enter our 50s. You right, darling? Yeah. Okay. Have I fallen off the wagon? Of course, at times really badly. I haven't told you how much I love my goat milk duck yolk custard ice cream I used to make when I had a small dairy on the side. I sincerely love ice cream. That's the pernicious thing about sugar. Like any other powerful drug, you always think you have control over it, but you don't. It controls you. And as humans, we really have no defense against the combination of fat and sugar. That's why there's always room for dessert. And its control is far worse than cigarettes or coffee. I've quit both. It's true. The former permanently, the latter only when fasting because I'm no ascetic. Sorry guys, I can't say that word. When you look in the mirror one day and you're disgusted with what you see, and the only thing worse than that is knowing that you knew better and did it anyway. Giving in to the imp of the perverse undermines your spirit far worse than any other mistake you can make. And when I was forced by circumstance in 2017 to chain myself to my keyboard and write or die to build a new career path, I didn't treat myself well as I should have. And so while I was in better health than I could have been, I wasn't happy about it either, because I knew I should be better than that. And it had gotten to the point of interfering with my ability to write at a level that I expected of myself. No less, y'all. That's why 3 weeks ago I followed my wife onto a near all-meat diet. No exceptions. No, I can have a small fries with my hamburger, or this one candy bar, just meat, salt, the occasional egg, and a little garlic with 20 to 24-hour fasts in between. The dietary equivalent of cold turkey of everything bad. And guess what? I've already lost significant girth. I sleep better. My concentration has improved. My joints don't ache, and I'm just plain happier. Recently, I had a physical ordered by my life insurance company. This was before I made the switch, and even then, as unhappy with myself as I was, my blood work was fine, a testament to eating mostly low-carb whole foods and staying away from God-forsaken vegetables. It wasn't that hard for me. My body knows how to cycle in and out of ketosis now. The first couple of days are the toughest, thinking about food constantly, but once you get in the groove, it's not an issue. Once you put your mind to it, as the saying goes, the rest is just doing it. It wasn't as hard as quitting sugar for the first time. That was hard. 3 weeks of that empty feeling in your stomach, the brain fog, the feeling of just being off. It's like those old V8 commercials from the 80s. But here's the thing. I was luckily pre-diabetic at the time. My body had zero idea how to burn fat, and so it resisted doing so for weeks. Once through that, however, I didn't need a glass of pulverized compost material to keep me upright. Low carb isn't anything new now. We helped plough that field 20 years ago, and that's a great thing. But there's still this horrific stigma against meat that has zero basis in dietary reality. It's a holdover of Ansel Keys' moronic and virulent lipoid hypothesis, which demonise saturated fats. But Keyes, like Michael Mann and his hockey stick chart of global temperatures, cherry-picked his data to prove his point. And because what he said was in accordance with what the political establishment wanted to push on us, meat was vilified, and vegetable oils, which have never been a big part of human nutrition, were elevated, to the detriment of us all. Trillions of dollars in misallocated capital to a theory that made us all fat, sick, stupid, and perpetually pissed off. Trillions to a healthcare industry designed to treat these new problems, caused mostly by people eating like they are pigs being fattened for slaughter. And the irony is, of course, that we now raise lean hogs as opposed to lard hogs, so even our pork is fed a better diet than we feed ourselves. So much of our political debate around rising healthcare costs come down to treating lifestyle diseases brought on by insipid and venal government propaganda and the ideological zealotry of vegans. Healthcare wouldn't be the Byzantine nightmare and wholly unethical quicksand of graft, corruption, and corporate profiteering if it wasn't for Ansel Keys and his disciples. And the Democrats wouldn't be pushing for healthcare to be a right as defined by everyone else has to pay for my shitty choices about what foods I push down my gullet. Worse, today, after the mainstreaming of low carb, we are still dealing with the remnants of Keys and the vilification of meat eating, because they know that once a critical mass of us get trim, healthy, and independent-minded, their amateurish narrative control techniques don't work on us. That is why we laugh at soy boys with bitch tits. They've given ground gradually and grudgingly. First, it was butter was better than margarine after telling us trans fats were better than saturated fats. Then it was eggs are okay, even though a lot more people are allergic to egg whites than you would think. but they won't bring themselves to admit that saturated fats are the healthy fats. They're the ones that your body uses to build cell walls resistant to oxidative stress. They are the ones that are made of the good cholesterol and not the nasty stuff the body produces when you starve it. But even then, grudgingly, as the data started coming back, to hold the line they keep telling us, if you have to eat them, avocado, coconut, and fish are okay. Just stay away from the red meat. Because the demonisation of red meat cuts to the heart of the political con job that is modern cultural Marxism and its supposed moral high ground. You can see this in the response to the landmark study just completed that concluded there is no perceivable risk from eating red meat as opposed to anything else. It immediately provoked apoplexy akin to doctors prescribing hemlock to treat eczema. Based on the research, we cannot say with any certainty that eating red or processed meat causes cancer, diabetes, or heart disease, said Bradley Johnston, an associate professor at Dalhousie University in Canada, who co-led the review published on Monday in the Annals of Internal Medicine Journal. However, in what amounts to a scientific food fight, experts from Harvard, Yale, Stanford, and elsewhere, including one of the review authors, said guidelines that could lead people to eat more red meat and processed meats were irresponsible. They asked in a letter to the journal that it be preemptively retract publication of the papers pending further review. I can't wait until the study comes out comparing those on a carnivore diet to a vegan one. That's the study no one in power wants to see the results of. We're at the overwhelming evidence stage of the benefits of not eating like our dinner eats, and these guys are trying to hold back the dam and force the truth under the rug, because they can't give up the dream, man. Veganism and ethical vegetarianism are inextricably bound up with the push towards modern forms of social control. They are religions based on the mistaken, inherently Marxist belief that humanity is a virus and needs to be contained. Vegetarians claim a moral high ground they can't support as an extension of an ideology built on the guilt of being alive, of denying their basic humanity as predators. It is another false narrative designed to rob you of your reason, physically as well as psychologically, since diet affects both in a vicious feedback loop of autoimmune disorders, which are entirely avoidable, just like the donuts in the break room. And the idea that you can just go to the gym and burn off that donut is simply ignorant of how the body actually functions. Calories in do not just equal calories out. The body doesn't treat a teaspoon of sugar in the same way it treats an ounce of bacon grease. If you think that, then you aren't just ignorant at this point, you're being willfully obtuse. We don't have a bathtub metabolism any more than we have a Kenny's idea of a bathtub economy, reducing our food intake to the same gross generalization that we do the economy via GDP is not only stupid, but antithetical to truth. The idea that calories are just calories is literally meaningless. It strips out all meaning as to how specific molecules are utilized by the body and for what purpose. Just like reducing the economy to gross spending also strips out the meaning about what we spent the money on and how it was utilized. If we spend all our money on hookers and blow, do you think that's any more sustainable than living on pasta, pizza, and paninis? But like all gatekeepers, they will fail to hold containment on the truth because, as I keep saying, lies are expensive, the truth sells itself. Don't you ever wonder why they have to sell us on tofu, but bacon sells itself? I don't. That was a pretty good one, guys. I used to think that you could just go to the gym because I used to go to the gym a long time ago, and just burn that fat off. But and I used to eat a lot of vegetables, guys, all my life. Most of my meals have been vegetables with very, very little meat, and sometimes no meat at all for months or maybe a couple of years at a time. And when I found myself sick in the last 15 years, and I just woke up one day like it. There was nothing happened. It was just, I woke up one day and my stomach started to swell, and yeah, so I've been looking into the ketogenic diet, and I'm only able so far, I'm trying to, it's a bit expensive to just keep buying meat, and I still cheat. I still have bread every now and then, but generally from drinking the beef bone broth and eating more meat than anything else, I've started to feel a little bit better. It's the best I've felt in 15 years. So I'm going to keep trying on this and see how I go. And I'll let you know if especially if I manage to fix myself. My goodness, that would just be a miracle. I mean, I've been to doctors and I've been to hospitals and I've had that many tests that I feel like a pincushion and I'm just a skeleton on an X-ray somewhere, and ultrasounds and CTs and going in for procedures over and over again, and had parts of my body removed, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong. They just couldn't figure it out. And so that made me lose faith in doctors, guys. And that's why I say, don't always listen to the experts, because they don't always know. They didn't know what was wrong. They don't know what's wrong with me. And so it's up to me to find out and fix myself, and that's what I'm doing now. And honestly, this is the most relief I've had in 15 years. So anyway, guys, I hope you're as interested in this one as I was. Yeah, I don't mean to put anybody down, and I was just reading the article, and I don't think anyone's silly or stupid. We've all been told the vegetables are great. Vegetables are good for us. You've got the food pyramid. You've got, my goodness, it's just, we've had it drilled into us. And how many times do you go to the doctor and they say, what have you been eating? Or do they just write you out a prescription? And when I say going nearly, like, I mean like not eating breads. And the funny thing is when you do try and eat all meat, the craving for sugar does go down. It really does. And you can eat fish. You can eat eggs, bacon. I love my beef bone broth because that just gives me this burst of energy that I haven't felt in years as well. It keeps me going during the day. Yeah, so anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this one in the comments. You can agree or disagree, anything you like, guys. I don't mind. If you like it, hit the thumbs up. If you don't, hit the thumbs down. If you subscribe, that'd be great. And I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Okay, bye, guys.